about that time, and it's already a very busy morning, I'm sure, going around different places. We're delighted that you chose to stop and talk to us about communication and theater arts in the Tim Russert department. I'm Jackie Schmidt, and I've been here a long time. I won't say how long. I was a department chair for 15 years at this department, so I'm not the chair now, and we're doing great things in addition to where we're going. So I'm delighted to be able to share that with you, and let me have my colleagues introduce themselves.
Okay, I'm Bob Noll. I'm in the communication department also. I had a long experience in broadcasting and media, and also professional theater, and a lot of copywriting, a lot of professional work. And I was adjunct teacher at many colleges. And 1 year I taught here on Saturdays that Dr. Schmidt arranged, and then I was offered a position here. 1 year it was going to be, and then I was going to go back into business. Well, I like it here so much. This is my 24th year, so I think I like John Carroll.
Hi guys, I'm Peter Hopkins. I'm a senior here. I'm also in the communication department, obviously, and I'm within the integrated marketing track, one of the many tracks we have, which we'll be talking about. And I'm from Detroit, Michigan.
I'm Andrea Regrut. I'm also an IMC major. I'm from Dublin, Ohio, which is near Columbus.
And we'll tell you a little bit about, I think the next one was, there's our welcome. Here's what we're going to talk about pretty much during this 45 minutes. We're going to get some reactions from the students about their expectations and what happened. We'll talk about the co-curriculars. Professor Noll's going to talk a lot about that. I'm going to talk a little bit about the major and what it is and how it sets up and why we've constructed it that way. And then we'll also talk about some internships and experiential learning and kind of the philosophy of the department. So I want to start, I think, with the students' perspectives on why did you choose John Carroll? Because that's what we want you to do.
So initially when I was looking at colleges, I was totally lost. I really didn't have one specific school I wanted to go to. You know, I kind of thought the college process was really rushed. I mean, you'd go to a campus and then you feel like you'd have to say, oh, I have to go here for the next 4 years. You know, it's kind of, it seems crazy. But I came upon John Carroll. Like I said, I'm from Michigan, and I immediately loved the culture here, walking around campus, things of that nature. And I was actually going to play soccer here. That's really was one of the big reasons why I came to Carroll, but I kind of realized really soon and early into my college career that soccer wasn't really for me, it wasn't a passion anymore, so I knew I would have to kind of have other things consume my life within Carroll, and then I came across the communication department, which we'll talk about in a few minutes, but that's really, you know, why I came here, was that I really adapted to Carroll immediately, and I felt as if I was totally included in a lot of different things.
So when first beginning my college tours, I didn't really think of John Carroll as a school that I wanted to go to. I was very small, it's in Cleveland, but once coming on the campus, you will not find one rude or mean person at John Carroll. Everyone is extremely nice, everyone will hold the door open for you. And on my tour, they kind of said that you can do everything that you want. You can play a sport, you can do IM sports, you can do service, you can do immersion experiences, you can study abroad. And I found that not at many schools you are able to do all of that. And I really wanted to be a well-rounded person at the end of my college experience, and I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was 18, so John Carroll was definitely one of those places that said, you can figure it out here. You can do what you want, you don't have to do what you don't want. And it was just a perfect fit. I played soccer for the school. I did intramurals. I went to El Salvador, Guatemala on an immersion experience. I did a lot of other service opportunities, and it just seemed to be the right fit.
That's okay. We do have some clips from some alums, right?
Yeah. So now we have like 3 or 4 videos, very short pieces on alumni talking about their experiences at Carroll and what they've done to further their career after graduating from Carroll. Mind you, it's really, the volume's really quiet, so you're gonna have to really listen. We apologize for that.
I am Rick Harris, President and General Manager of NBC 10 and Telemundo 62, and also a proud graduate of John Carroll University, classes of 1986 undergraduate and 2005 graduate. Having a communication with John Carroll and Schmidt provided access to a number of people It's also provided a wealth of knowledge and information that has helped me excel and succeed in the world of media. My degree from John Carroll University has enabled me to fulfill a dream of working in media. I actually started in radio back in the 1980s at WUJC. From there, I went on to work at a local newspaper, the Cleveland Plain Dealer, and at a number of television stations in Cleveland and around the country, frankly. But it all started with my degree and the knowledge that I gained at John Carroll. My communications degree from John Carroll University prepared me to lead and manage the organization that I lead and manage today, NBC 10 and Telemundo 62. But the truth is, very early on, it prepared me to do some very simple things. To be able to put my thoughts into writing, to be able to put my thoughts into words, and to become a critical thinker. All of those things helped me become the leader that I am today. I'm very grateful for that and my degree from John Carroll. My favorite classes at John Carroll would have to have been television production and radio production. Those were a lot of fun, and they actually prepare me for what I do today. My most fun, or the most fun that I had outside of the class was actually working for the radio station, WUJC, where I had my first radio job, which then eventually led to a disc jockey job with a local commercial radio station. So yeah, John Carroll gave me my start, and he began with me. My degree from John Carroll University prepared me for a number of different jobs in the media. Sales, marketing, news, finance, creative services, all of the things that you would do in a job like mine as being president and general manager for the television station. But more than anything, John Carroll prepared me for a lifetime and career of critical thinking, writing, reading, and connecting with people. Outside of the classroom, my favorite activity was being a disc jockey at 88.7 WUJC. I know you guys call it WJCU now, but it was WUJC, and it was a great place to learn about radio. That was a lot of fun. It taught me a lot about our business, both in front of the microphone and behind the scenes. The thing that I think I really enjoyed most was playing varsity basketball for the John Carroll Blue Streets, where I learned about leadership, and I learned about sacrifice, and I learned about intuitiveness. All the things that help you become a success in your life and your career.
My name is Jennifer Holton. I am from the class of 2012, and I am currently the reporter and anchor at WECQ-TV, the CBS news affiliate in Panama City Beach, Florida. My communications degree from John Carroll University has enabled me to go many, many places, and I'm very fortunate to have gone. After graduation, I ended up moving to Washington, D.C., and working for Fox News as the assistant to Greta Van Susteren on her show On the Record. One of the things that I think is great about the communications department at John Carroll is that you can get involved in a lot of different things. In the realm of communications, you can get involved in newspaper, which allows you to hone your writing skills and really become very creative. One of the reasons that I chose John Carroll University and their specific communications department was because I knew that I would be a big fish in a small pond. John Carroll isn't that big of a school, and some people do like that, some people don't, but I loved it because I knew that I could get so much experience in my 4 years there. If you do decide to major in communications, I think one of the best things you can do as a student your freshman year is just to get involved. Start getting your feet wet, do newspaper, become involved in radio. They have a great radio station. Get involved in TV4 as I did. I created a show. I mean, really the ball is in your court. You have every opportunity to just write at your fingertips, and the professors couldn't be more encouraging, and they really want you to succeed. So I would say just delve right into it and become as involved as you can, and it does work out for the best.
There's one more. this time. Is he there?
Hi, I'm Courtney Machado, class of 2004. I'm a personal trainer, Pilates instructor, and owner and founder of Boobs and Valley, which is a pre- and postnatal activewear brand. My communications degree from John Carroll has definitely prepared me and given me the tools that I needed and the confidence that I needed to be the entrepreneur that I am today. I think one of the biggest advantages of having a degree in communications is the versatility. Not only have I over the years have had the privilege of working in the fitness and the fashion industry, but I have also had the ability to take on some freelance work. I've worked with a local nonprofit family foundation here in Cleveland, local businesses creating marketing plans, writing press releases, creating new websites, as well as creating and executing a successful health fair for my city. I think that when I look back in my college years and choosing what I wanted my career path to be, I could have chose to do fitness, I could have chose to do fashion, but I think that the diversity that I've had in my career thus far and where I would like to see myself in 10 years, I could not have picked a better major for myself. And I really credit my professors for putting me on the right path, to giving me the tools that I needed to be successful. All of the knowledge I gained from my internships, my independent studies, have really proved to be so beneficial. And I am incredibly thankful and grateful for everyone at John Carroll who has got me to where I am today.
Okay.
We wanted these students to share with you, both Peter and Andrea, why they chose the Russert department as well.
I chose the Russert department. I actually think of it as they chose me. It was the perfect combination between creativity, marketing, which has the business side to it, and the English side, which I also love to read and write. And you can kind of make it your own. You can choose classes that are tailored more towards you. I chose integrative marketing because I knew that I wanted to do something that was creative, but as well as semi-businessy, and it was perfect. It was awesome. All of the professors are incredible. They will do anything that they can to help you. I know Dr. Noll or Professor Noll has so many connections outside of John Carroll, and it's all about networking. They will do whatever they can to set you up for success. If you need any help in or out of the classroom, they are willing to meet with you outside of their office hours, and I know that not all departments can say the same.
So like Andrea said, when I came into Carroll, I was truly undecided. I really didn't know what I wanted to do. I thought that the staple was to go through the business school and start taking courses and then basically just get a degree and move on. So I took some courses, I took some econ courses, and I just figured out that I was not a numbers guy, truthfully. Better communicator, better situational thinker in that sense. So I kind of stumbled upon the communications department. And I had a really big interest for film and television. I mean, I always loved watching movies, watching TV growing up as a kid. And so, which we'll talk about in a little bit, I was really fortunate enough to get an internship out in Los Angeles with Universal Studios. And I thought that that really went hand in hand with maybe being a communications major. So from then on, it just really, it kind of blasted off, and it was awesome going through the major. And now, today, I'm really interested in advertising and marketing, so I'm with IMC Track.
Some websites you can go to.
Let me talk a little bit about the major itself. It's an exciting time, really, for you to be joining us in the communication major. We just went through a departmental review as part of a whole thing that the university went through. But part of what happened with that departmental review is it really allowed us to fine-tune what we're doing, how we're doing it, and how it can really affect and meet students' needs within the 21st century. So that was really good for us. I mean, we kept to our old principles, so those of you who are alums out there, we didn't change it, but we refined it and really highlighted it. And we are a communication major. We're real proud of that, by the way. You'll notice we have concentrations that you've heard people talk about. Those other people that you saw, those alumni, we didn't have concentrations. They were able to develop their own. We always had a concept about breadth and depth. And that was our basic principle, that we prepare you not just for one area, but to think about communication. Communication is one of those fields that's constantly changing. The job you come out and get into the industry today will not be the same job in 5 years. It is one of those where you have to be able to think from a viewpoint of how do people receive messages, how do you get the right information to them clearly, ethically, so they can make decisions. What types of factors affect different audiences, and how are all those things put together to be a strong communicator? If you can think that way, you can change as the industries change, and you can go across industries, as you've heard some of those people talk about. So we have that as our focus, and we developed concentrations. We started in 2011, and we refined them this year. So you will be one of the first classes to come in with these new refined concentrations, and we really built them in a strong way to keep this breadth and depth kind of quality. To give you an idea of the overall, every communicator, and I had to look it up because they're going to start them just this fall with you guys. Our 4 new courses are, one is Audience Matters, and it's all about audience across all the areas of communication: theater, rhetoric, politics, media, digital, advertising, all the areas. How do audiences get messages? So that's what Audience Matters is. We also have one called Technology, Communication, and Society, which looks at communication and how technology affects messaging. My area is interpersonal, and it affects big messages and relationships with technology. So we're going to look at that in addition to the other kinds of areas. We have a new course we've developed called Professional Communication that takes a bit of a lot of other courses we had, but really gets you to how to present your message, and to start with that in the beginning. We have an upper level course that all majors take called Ethics in Communication, because that is who we are. We're the Tim Russert department. We believe in ethical, factual communication, probably more now than ever, given what's happened in our society in this profession. So we're really proud to have that as one of the hallmarks of our field and what we do in here and how we approach it. And then we go, after you take those courses, you go into these areas. Communication studies really looks at rhetoric, theater, and performance. A lot of persuasion in that. A lot of people who go into communication studies are in sales, end up in management, and those kind of go to law school. A lot of that kind of area. That's what digital media, this is the journalism area. Video, print, the whole thing in terms of, because it no longer is just print, right? Those of you who are in newspaper have to blog, you have to do all these other kinds of things to work into it. And then the integrated marketing communication, which Andrea and Peter talked a lot about, that has those, we've revamped that. We've put in some of the interpersonal material in there and some of the organizational development material, because if you're working with a client and working with their brand, you're also trying to understand and help them fit their culture. So this is pretty much what we like. We like the breadth. We're proud we're a communication major. We like the focus. We think it's going to provide you to be able to see issues that are communication issues with audiences that are going to change over the years. But we also realize the need to provide a more specific breadth, and besides the breadth, the depth in the areas. So that's why we went into the concentrations. And we're finding those work really well. Now here's another thing about it. Just because you're in this concentration doesn't mean you can't take courses in here or in here. And we encourage cross-breeding across those because we want you to see issues from multiple perspectives. What we're preparing you here is for a lifetime of learning and being able to adapt to this industry and to how people make messages. So we're really excited about it. It's a good time to join us. And you're in, oh, these are our minors, I forgot that. We did keep minor in communication studies and in theater. I think you can even major in one of these. You can do the major and do a concentration and still do a minor too. And with your flexibility in deploying out because of the new core, you have a lot of opportunity to do that. So let me turn it over to you.
Okay, yeah, these are some co-curriculars. Now, the bottom line of the media business is you have to have more than a college degree. You have to have experience. And one of the great advantages of going to a John Carroll with our small enrollment, personalized care that we give for all our students, is we have a ton of activities that you can gain that experience with. And that's really what I want to talk about for a minute. This is critical. pretty much, unless Steven Spielberg is your dad and you have a 4.0, you have to know somebody, okay, for one thing. We have a ton of contacts in the business, which is critical. And we're a Jesuit university, and that means something all over the country, or any place that you want to get a job at. I mean, I have a student that was one of the main writers for CSI for the last few years, and he's now working for MacGyver. And there's a ton of examples of that too. We have people all over the United States, you know, having successful careers. But there's some activities that really can help you. One, we have a forensic team, which covers debate and also covers performance. We've had a number of students over the years that were active in that became lawyers, because communication is a really good major to go to law school. We have the Public Relations Student Society of America. Again, it's an activity that all the major colleges have, and it gives you a chance to work with professionals and do some brainstorming and also make contacts, which is so key. And the fact that we're in Cleveland, we have a lot of media, you know, within just a rapid transit, 20 minutes from here, that you can go and meet with them and also, you know, intern with them. Then we have the Society of Professional Journalists that we're very active in. We have plays, both plays that are directed, you know, by our staff, but also students get a chance to direct plays too and perform in them. And we also have the Carroll News that I'm advisor of. We've won over 100, you know, regional and national awards over the last years that I've been here. And it's what's one of the great things about going to John Carroll is that if you want to start working for the newspaper, you come see me and you'll be writing within a couple of weeks, okay? That is so unlike a lot of the bigger schools where you have to fight to just become involved in the newspaper at all. Here you can start right away. Auditioning for plays, you can start right away. You know, we really get people involved in their freshman year on. And it's been proven time and time again that the more activities you're involved in, often your grades are better, which is something that has been happening in research many years. We also have a fine radio station. We will train you to get on the air, to have your own programs, not just to be a disc jockey, but to actually produce programs. And that's very valuable activity. We have a few more here. Oh, yeah, we also have internships, both credit and non-credit. Critical to have internships. The more you can have, the better. Because people in the business, people that actually hire, want to see what you know, what you can do. You know, what you can do. And one of our big things that we really work on here is that when you get out, you have a nice website that hopefully has some of your greatest hits, that you can show employers that you know how to do things. You know, not only apply that you learn here, but also actually do them. And we have a lot of service learning involved, and we also have community-based projects that we get involved in to help groups out, community.
I wanted to just add to some of these kinds of things in terms of, I directed the internship program here for years. And I think one of the things I used to love that I heard from people is they used to say to me, the people who were doing the internships and supervising would always say, your students are fearless. And I said, well, what do you mean by fearless? They said, they don't know that there isn't something they can't do. And I think that that's that breadth thing. We're not just teaching you to be an IMC person. We're teaching you to think like a communicator. So if you're in an agency and somebody comes to you and says, I need to have YouTube done, or I need a little piece of video, you don't say, I don't know how to do that, I didn't have courses in it. You're more apt to say, okay, I can think into that perspective, I've had some background in that, and I'm willing to try it. And that's a really positive attitude. That's the one I heard, and I think that that's the difference with the breadth and the depth. And back to those kinds of the co-curriculars we have, my favorite award that we give every year, we give a lot of awards, but my favorite is the Outstanding Senior Award. And it's the person who has excelled or has participated in 2 or 3 of these co-curriculars. Because again, that's that breadth. Don't just get trained in one area. Train to think like a communicator so that whatever happens in your field, you can adapt and you can continue to move forward with it because you're going to ask the right questions. You're going to see what has to be done. So we want to end by having, before we go to questions.
One other thing that we don't want to forget is that we are the Tim Russert Department of Communications. And the big thing there is we have a fellowship every year in Meet the Press. I don't know how many people know about this, but it's been a great experience over the years because every person who actually went through this process, working 9 months in Washington, that we give them a stipend and they live there. they were all, NBC offered them all jobs when they were done. So
And when Chuck Todd came here last year, he said, I can't move around the Meet the Press studio without falling over some John Carroll person.
And one
All
thing,
like them.
yeah, one thing that Chuck Todd and their producer told me, because I was there with the students this past year, is that they think John Carroll students are the best students. We have such a great reputation there, and they would just say, they thank me, just how proud they are that we have such, I was proud that we have such great students, which, again, that gets around the business, please. We have a lot of people in Washington doing very well, not only in NBC, but a lot of other places. Okay, so I guess now that Jackie's offer questions.
I guess what we're going to let them share what their 2 or 3 kind of cool things that happened to them here. We asked the students to kind of come up and share a little bit of their perspective beyond just why you chose it, what kind of experiences you had.
Perfect. So I think I'll start off with a kind of a classroom experience that's, kind of integrated with 2 of my marketing courses that I've recently taken in the past couple of years here. And that's just the idea of being in advertising, being in marketing, you're going to have a lot of clientele that you really need to kind of work for and, bend your back over to do everything for them. So we kind of, in my last 2 marketing classes, and my most recent one, and one marketing class I took last spring, or last fall, we really have gotten no fake clients. I mean, we've had real clients come in and we have to perform and execute a marketing campaign for these clients. And so with these clientele, we are treated, like people in an agency. So we have deadlines, strict deadlines, we are treated as professionals, and there's really no messing around. So I think you really get a hands-on experience of how intense and fast-paced kind of agency life is, which I think is really cool. So that's really the first thing. The second thing I think kind of applies to networking. What I'll say is you guys being incoming freshman students, even as freshmen, start networking early. I mean, I know it sounds crazy. You want to adapt to college and have fun, which, absolutely. But I think you should really start networking too. I started networking freshman year and it's really starting to pay off. I mean, it might not seem like anything as a freshman because you're 18 and really, okay, I have 4 years left, what am I going to do? But it's really going to pay off in the back end. And if you keep these relationships, this is an industry about relationships. If you keep the relationships going, it's really going to pay off and you're going to see results with, emailing that guy, that your mother's best friend's husband, someone that, you don't think of at first glance, but really kind of branch out within your family. I mean, you have a huge network within your family and friends. And I think my example is I had a friend here, Carol, that I didn't really talk to too much, but I kind of mustered up the courage and said, hey, I saw that you're doing this really cool internship in Cleveland. This little PR agency called the Owens Group. And I said, hey, could you pass my resume along? He did so. I got my foot in the door. I interviewed and I got the job. And I mean, it's really about relationships and just being kind of almost courageous enough to just say, send that email out, say your hellos at kind of networking events, shaking people's hands, just kind of doing the little things. So that's what I really have to say about my experiences.
So I guess one of my highlights of my time here at John Carroll has been my internships. If you go to John Carroll, when you go to John Carroll, say that you go here. Everyone in Cleveland loves John Carroll kids. You will not go somewhere and not meet a John Carroll person, I swear to God. It's the weirdest thing. So I went into my internship, I got it through the Russert Department of Communication. I absolutely love it. A ton of John Carroll people work there. I'm actually going to work there after graduation, which is extremely nice to be a senior and know that you have a job. And then another one of my favorite experiences happened in the service learning components. I love service. I know I wanted to do it throughout college, and I was able to use what I learned in class and be able to go to a school or an after learning kind of thing. It was called Lake Erie Inc. And we would talk about the media and how it's portrayed, and we would do fun activities with them after school, which was awesome. I loved it so much that I actually did it for 2 semesters and not just for my 1 class. And you're really able to do that through the Russert Department of Communication, and I would totally take advantage of it if you can.
And I would say we have internships outside of Cleveland too. We are sending a number of students who are from the Chicago area. We're building a strong base of internships in Chicago, Pittsburgh, Washington, D.C., Buffalo. So we have, and we will, if a student comes to us with an internship, we'll look at it. Our chair, Dr. Peggy Finucane, who runs that program now, will look at it and can vet it so that it can fit. So we really want that network beyond, well, we have a strong Cleveland presence. We also have a strong regional, and we're going more for a national
Yeah, another example is there's a Hollywood associate agent from John Carroll, just graduated a few years ago. He contacted us the other day and said, got any John Carroll students that want to intern at this Hollywood agency? I mean, things like that happen too.
So we've done a lot of talking. Any questions you have at this point?
So I know you've done a lot of work with the concentrations, and I may have missed this, but visual media. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well,
Too soon.
yeah, no, we do have that because it's been there before. We
Okay.
didn't redesign everything. What we did is we combined some courses. So within that area, that's more your area.
Yeah.
Bob. What did we?
Well, the bottom line is that shows you there's opportunities in classes to take. Like you can take TV production and then advanced TV production. And the guy that teaches it here is somebody from Channel 5. And he's been having classes at Channel 5, which is, they have state-of-the-art equipment there in Cleveland here. And you also can teach, screenwriting, the writing classes, I teach a lot of those. And you also have opportunities to do production here. We have state-of-the-art equipment that you can work with to do production. It's really what it's about is about storytelling. It teaches you how to tell stories visually. So we have the classes are
We also
available.
have the sports area. We've
Sports
got
area that a
sports
lot of students will be coming
broadcasting.
back
A lot of
active in.
students are interested in that area.
It goes back to the idea that it's a small school. You get a chance to do all this stuff. The equipment's there, the people are there, the expertise are there. And you just take these classes that in the classroom that teach you the basics, and then you go off on your own, and we just help you.
We've had a number of students in that area also, as they develop it, go on and take an independent study, create their own presentation, do a short documentary or another type of approach, and we encourage that as well. And then again, unlike if you look at some schools where they have television production 1, 2, 3, 4, we have the television production sequence. We also have the audio production, but then as Bob says, we have the storytelling. We also might take a course from the IMC track that talks about its use in media in terms of society in general, so you know how to put that in. We also, and I forgot, and I should never forget this, the other required course we have is interpersonal communication, which I think is essential. If you're going to tell a story, you have to know about people and how people interact. So you have that in your background. So you have a broader background from which to create stories and identify stories, which is what we really want to do.
And I could just mention Tim Isofano, who graduated from here a number of years ago. He and I actually worked together at NBC years ago too. And the idea, Tim came here a few years ago to do a seminar because he was directing a film in Pittsburgh. And he wanted to talk to our students. And a student asked him, why did you wanted to be in a film? Why did you come to John Carroll, a liberal arts college? And he said, I've learned, because unlike most people in Hollywood, he said, I know the world the way it really is because I got a liberal arts education. I just didn't learn from life by other TV movies and other TV programs like a lot of people in Hollywood do, which is why you see the movies you see. And he said, one of the things he said, why? He said, listen, we learned ethics. Every class has ethics. He said, that kept his soul, he said, in Hollywood. He said interpersonal communications and group communications and process and all that taught him how to deal with very difficult people often and how to deal with groups. He said he learned also gave him a philosophy on life, that he's able to understand scripts better, understand the world better. He got a broad education about life that he says makes his stories that he's worked on. And he was one of the producers of 24, among other things too, so he's pretty experienced.
Yeah.
So. Other questions? We have a few minutes. Oh, one of the things that we also do that is really important to any college, especially in communications, is make sure you take a lot of writing classes and write as much as you can. Because I've been with a lot of people recently that are in the business, and they're saying they're having a heck of a time finding people that know how to write. They can't find people that know how to write. I was in Washington talking to people there, talking to people at NBC in Washington, and also talking to some local people here just recently, including some of our alums that are working at Channel 3 and a few at Channel 5. They say the same thing. They can't find people. Even though there's this idea that everybody wants to do this business, and you're never going to be able to get a job, Well, the problem, you don't have to worry. There's very few people who know how to write, and those are the people that actually do really well.
Right.
And so,
And there's writing in every one of these classes, as we've identified them. And we do a lot of theory and practice, as you could see. You know, we're looking at the theory, and I think what Peter and Andrea talked about that, when you're looking at the theory, you're actually implementing it so that you're seeing a broader strain to learning. It's not just all theory or all practice, but the connection between them is when you really own something. When you can go from an item or a practical one to why that works, or you can take a theory and then implement it in action, then you own it and it's yours. And that's the part we want to leave you with in here.
we have a few minutes.
Can you talk a little bit about the journalism part of it, about the writing, how it all connects in, you know, with communications and what we should think?
Well, we automatically have a few really good intro journalism classes and an advanced one and all that. But what it is, to be honest, you write by learning to write. Just like you learn how to type by learning how to type. And that's, we give you the opportunity in the Carroll News, for instance. Unlike a lot of colleges where you have to fight to get in, we welcome you, we'll train you, you can start writing right away, you'll get 4 years of experience, and that's what you need. Because we had a student that was accepted at Syracuse and also John Carroll a few years ago. Picked John Carroll because she knew that for 4 years she's going to get experience, including management experience as one of the editors. If she went to Syracuse, she's lucky if she gets in the newspaper at all. And then, because I went to Ohio U and Kent, and there was always a problem getting in the newspaper because there's so much competition, and you have to earn your time to actually write. Here, right away, we get you you get 4 years of experience, and we have great relationships with the media. We had just last year we had a student who, well, the last 2 years, one of our students who was managing editor was offered a job right out of here, Cleveland.com, the plain dealer. And then we had a student this past year who was only a sophomore. She was their intern. We're talking, you know, all the colleges in the United States want to get in the plain dealer at Cleveland.com. They picked us, okay, which shows you the quality of our students. And why? Because they had experience that were published experience. And that is the most important thing when it comes to, and you can intern for our wonderful magazine that John over here, you know, edits, that you can learn from them by getting published articles in a magazine. Those are opportunities that look really good when you're trying to get a job, and also you learn so much by doing that.
And as you know, journalism is probably one of the fields that's changed the most. It used to be, and our old catalogs would say, we talked about it as print journalism and then television or digital. Now we're blending them together because you can't be a journalist anymore just and write. You have to be able to show it. You have to be able to tell the story. And that's that whole storytelling element that we integrated into it. So we have the writing courses, but we also expose you, even within those writing journalism courses, to how do you make it visual? How would you write the blog for this? How do you use your Twitter account? Because a journalist, as you know, needs to be able to have a good Twitter so that people follow them, so that their pieces look good and that their publication likes it better. So we talk about all those things and try to expand that. We also have special topics in journalism for people like environmental areas and those kinds of things so that you could look at feature writing. So we also have those available too. And hopefully, I do have a copy of all the new ones for fall, but we would be happy to send you our new schedule of courses as they are all developed. They're going into the new bulletin, which all of you will be receiving.
So you're saying it'd be smart to take those media classes, those digital media classes with blogging and all that?
Oh, they're in there.
And
Yeah.
just incorporate it all,
Right.
and then you can just. do
We've
that
already
specialized-
done that for you in the basic journalism class. So you'll go basic journalism writing, but when you're writing also, you have to think about a broader perspective because very few people are just going to write a piece anymore. And you know that as you when you watch your favorite reporter. It's not just on the newspaper anymore. We have Cleveland.com. You've got to have something else about it. You've got to keep it alive. So the whole way we look at news has changed. And that's part of why we keep this kind of broad picture. You understand how audiences think and what they need to know to make good decisions, then you're going to be able to move with them. And we want you to continually be able to adapt to the new thing that happens because you can adapt to that because you're given a strong base of how to adapt to it by knowing the kinds of questions you need to ask in order to make that change. So we're all about change.
But how you really get good is get experience.
Right.
That's
practice.
why the co-curriculars are so valuable.
Right.
I mean, take for instance WJCU. We're one of the few universities left that we have our play-by-play announcer for football and other sports is done by a student, not a professional coming in. This gives people the opportunity to get the experience now that they learn in the classroom about oral communications, but also do practice, get experience. Because that is one of, again, I can't stress that enough. These co-curriculars are incredibly valuable because you get experience. So when you get out of here, you have a degree, nice degree, but you have experience. Then you can go in the job world. It's a lot easier than only getting experience later. Because the idea of, these entry-level positions are pretty much not, you don't find those in communications very much. They want you to come in experienced. So, and go to a school like here, we have that available.
And we make it easy for you because specifically, actually, when we did this last redefinition, we worked at, as a department, more intentionality between the connection between the co-curricular and the classroom. So we really want those things, and we want it to go across the board. For example, in an IMC, if you have to do a radio ad, we would send you to UJC, produce the ad, and then see if you can get it on UJC. So that you are actually moving in all of those things together. So the co-curriculars have become a very strong base of supporting and being used in the classroom as well. So it isn't like two different pieces.
So we only have about 3 minutes. More questions?
What about the internships? Is that a situation where it's going to be limited to just juniors and seniors or freshmen?
We have internships now.
Yeah, we just did that. That was one of the things we did in the last 2 years too. We used to always save them to seniors because we viewed it as like student teaching, that you're able to really do something of value. But now we have expanded that so that we have an internship that we put you in, a type of internship that's more of an introductory internship that you can do within the first couple of years, and then we still have that senior one, because when we do that one, we want to be sure this is a good assessment for us too. We ask people who are new, have interned there, how well were you prepared, what were you missing, and then we take those pieces back and add to our curriculum so that we make sure we're turning out people who are doing the right kind of things and have the right kind of knowledge to be successful. But now we do have 2 now.
You can also take internships before you declare majors. I took an internship as a sophomore, and we have a career connections where you can take it actually as credit. I think I've taken 12 credits just full of internships, which was awesome because I got paid, so it was like I was paying to go to school. So I would definitely take advantage of that one as well.
Okay, we're out of time.
We have to get you to lunch.
Thank you.
We have to-